Good morning, everyone. Today, our lesson is all about solving problems involving direct proportion in different contexts such as distance, rate, and time using appropriate strategies and tools. This is the third lesson for the second quarter, week 1. In this lesson, you are expected to solve problems involving direct proportion in different contexts such as distance, rate, and time using appropriate strategies and tools. I want to know if you are ready for our lesson today. So I prepared an activity for you. Again, write your answer in your math notebook. Directions: solve each problem and choose the letter of the best answer. Number 1. There are 48 passengers on a bus. How many passengers are there in 3 buses? A. 144, B. 134, C. 124, D. 114. Write your answer now. Time is up. The correct answer is letter A. Number 2. A kilogram of rice costs 45 pesos. How much is 5 kilograms of rice? A. 325 pesos, B. 225 pesos, C. 135 pesos, D. 215 pesos. Write your answer now. Time is up. The correct answer is letter B. Number 3. Andy solves 4-word problem in 12 minutes. How long will it take him to solve 6-word problem? A. 15 minutes, B. 16 minutes, C. 17 minutes, D. 18 minutes. Write your answer now. Time is up. The correct answer is letter D. Number 4. If 3 mangoes cost 45 pesos, how many mangoes can you buy with 75 pesos? A. 6, B. 5, C. 4, D. 3. Write your answer now. Time is up. The correct answer is letter B. Number 5. If 8 liters of gasoline can cover 75 kilometers, how many liters of gasoline are needed to cover 150 kilometers? A. 16, B. 17, C. 18, D. 19. Write your answer now. Time is up. The correct answer is letter A. Do you still remember our lesson about proportion? What is a proportion? How many terms are there in a proportion? How do we solve the missing term in a proportion? A proportion is a statement of equality between two ratios. Each part of a proportion is a term. The first and the last terms are called extremes, while the second and the third terms are called the means. Two ratios are proportional when the product of the means is equal to the product of the extremes. To solve for the missing term in a proportion, multiply the means, then multiply the extremes. Divide both products by the numerical coefficient. What is the value of n in 3:9 as 5:n? To find the value of n, multiply the extremes and multiply the means. So we have 3 times n, then 9 times 5. 3 times n equals 3n, 9 times 5 equals 45. Divide both sides of the equation by the numerical coefficient. So we have 3n divided by 3 and 45 divided by 3. Therefore, n is equal to 15. Before we proceed to our discussion, I want you to answer the following questions. What are your favorite sports? What are the benefits of engaging ourselves to different types of sports? According to a certain study, the following are the benefits of playing sport. It gives us better sleep, gives us a strong heart, you can make new friends, improves lung function, increases confidence, reduces stress, improves mental health, develops a stronger relationship with people, and builds leaders. Let us now proceed to our lesson. Study the problem. In a basketball game, Harvey made 8 shots in 10 tries. At this rate, how many shots could he make in 15 tries? We can use the 4-step plan in solving the problem. The first step is to understand. To understand the problem, you need to identify what is asked in the problem and what is or what are the given information in the problem. Based on the problem that I presented, what is asked is the number of shots Harvey could make in 15 tries. And the given information, 8 shots to 10 tries, blank shots to 15 tries. The next step is to make a plan. Your plan includes how will you set up the proportion or the equation. We can set up the proportion in two ways. In column form, we have the order of the term should be number of shots is to the number of tries equal to the number of shots is to the number of tries. So our equation is 8 is to 10 as n is to 15. In fraction form, we have number of shots over the number of tries equal to the number of shots over the number of tries. So we can write it now, 8 over 10 equals n over 15. The third step is to solve the problem. How do we solve for the missing number? To solve for n in column form, 8 is to 10 as n is to 15. First, get the product of the means and get the product of the extremes. So multiply 10 times n, then multiply 8 times 15. 10 times n equals 10n, 8 times 15 equals 120. Then divide both sides of the equation by the numerical coefficient. 10n divided by 10 and 120 divided by 10. 10n divided by 10 is equal to 1n, or simply write n, and 120 divided by 10 equals 12. Therefore, Harvey could make 12 shots in 15 tries. How do we know if the value of n is correct? So the last step is to check and look back. Check the answer by substituting the value of n in the equation 8 is to 10 as n is to 15. So since the value of n is 12, substitute it, so it will become now 8 is to 10 as 12 is to 15. Multiplying the extremes and multiplying the means, so we have 8 times 15, then 10 times 12. 8 times 15 equals 120, 10 times 12 equals 120. The product is the same, 120. Therefore, the value of n, which is 12, is correct. So the product of the means is equal to the product of the extremes. In the given problem, the number of shots and the number of tries in playing basketball are being compared. Notice that as the number of tries increases, the number of shots also increased. This is called a direct proportion. To solve for the value of n in fraction form, 8 over 10 equals n over 15. Use cross multiplication, then divide the product both sides by the numerical coefficient of n. 8 over 10 equals n over 15. Cross multiply 10 times n, then 8 times 15. 10 times n equals 10n. 8 times 15 equals 120. Divide both sides by the numerical coefficient of n. So we have 10n divided by 10, then 120 divided by 10. 10n divided by 10 is 1, or simply write n, and 120 divided by 10 equals 12. Substitute the value of n to check if the product of the means is equal to the product of the extremes. 8 over 10 equals n over 15 will become 8 over 10 equals 12 over 15. Cross multiply 8 times 15, then 10 times 12. 8 times 15 equals 120. 10 times 12 equals 120. So, the product of the means is equal to the product of the extremes. Let us have another example. If 12 pencils cost 72 pesos, how much will 3 pencils cost? First, set up the proportion. 12 is to 72 as 3 is to n. Then, solve for the value of n. 12 is to 72 as 3 is to n. First, multiply the extremes and multiply the means. So 12 times n, then 72 times 3. 12 times n equals 12n. 72 times 3 equals 216. Then divide both sides by the numerical coefficient. So 12n divided by 12, 216 divided by 12. N is equal to 18. To solve for the value of n in fraction form, use cross multiplication. Cross multiply 12 times n, then 72 times 3. 12 times n equals 12n. 72 times 3 equals 216. Divide both sides by the numerical coefficient. So 12n divided by 12 and 216 divided by 12. N is equal to 18. Therefore, 3 pencils cost 72 pesos. In this example, as the number of pencils decreases, the cost of pencils also decreased. This is also an example of direct proportion. It's time to answer now the 3 activities. Again, write your answers in your math notebook. Checking of answers will be done after the discussion. The first activity is practice. Directions: write the proportion in fraction form. Substitute the unknown term by n in the proportion. Ready? Go! The next activity is keep practicing. Directions: set up the proportion in column form and write the answer. Ready? Begin! The third activity is test yourself. Directions: set up the proportion for each problem, then solve. Ready? Go! This time, can you tell us now what is a direct proportion? How do we set up direct proportion? How do we solve problems involving direct proportion? In this lesson, you have to remember the following. In direct proportion, when one quantity increases, the other quantity increases at the same rate and vice versa. To set up the proportion either in column or fraction form, see to it that the order of the first equation must be the same in the second equation. To solve word problems involving direct proportion, follow the 4-step plan in solving problems. Understand, plan, solve, and check and look back. I want you to reflect and answer this question. How is direct proportion used in everyday life? Write 2 to 3 sentences in your math notebook. Let us move on to the last activity. Write your answers in your math notebook. Directions: read each problem carefully and solve. Choose the letter of the best answer. Number 1. A recipe calls for 3 cups of water to every pack of noodles. How many packs of noodles will be needed for 15 cups of water? Which is the correct proportion in this problem? A. 3:1 as 15 is to n. B. 1:3 as 15 is to n. C. 15:3 as n is to 1. D. 3:15 as 1 is to n. Write your answer now. Time is up. The correct answer is letter A. Number 2. Shailey can read 420 words in 5 minutes. At the same rate, how long will it take her to read 252 words? What term is missing in this proportion? A. First term. B. Second term. C. Third term. D. Fourth term. Write your answer now. Time is up. The correct answer is letter D. Number 3. 3 trucks can carry 270 bags of cement. How many bags of cement can 7 trucks carry? A. 180. B. 360. C. 450. D. 630. Write your answer now. Time is up. The correct answer is letter D. Number 4. How many fish can a fisherman catch in 9 hours if he can catch 75 fish in 5 hours? A. 115. B. 125. C. 135. D. 145. Write your answer now. Time is up. The correct answer is letter C. Problem number 5. There are 18 girls in a class. If the ratio of girls to boys is 6:5, how many are boys? A. 16, B. 15, C. 14, D. 13. Write your answer now. Time is up. The correct answer is letter B. This ends our lesson for today. See you next time and God bless.